What's happening? What's Gucci? How you doing? I know it's been a minute since my actual real upload that isn't like TikTok clips and whatnot. I've just been busy with life and things, life bills, the usual that we're all dealing with right now. But as you see about the topic, Charlie Kirk, and the reason I'm making this is because I figured, I'll just port over a discussion that I was having on TikTok that, kind of actually did some numbers, and I figured, I'll bring it over here because I think this like discourse is important, especially as seeing how it was received over on that platform. So hopping into the topic, first and foremost, I have nothing positive to say about Charlie Kirk. Now, I'm not going to show any jubilation or whatnot. I'm not going to be Millie rocking on his death. We're going to keep it professional. We're just going to talk about the life aspect and the politics of what am I going to get into. But I do want to make it clear I have nothing positive, not a single thing to say about him. The human of him that passed, unfortunate. That's a terrible way to go. That's yeesh. But the person, he wouldn't show the same thing for me because when he had the chance to, he didn't show the same type of respect for people that passed. Like, for example, George Floyd. For the last 5 years, a lot of right-wing people have been making fun of that man who was just a person that's made mistakes, is had some demons, some skeletons in the closet like a lot of people, but yet has been villainized by them so hard, even though the only reason he was a topic is because he died at the hand of police brutality. If the knee wasn't on his neck, and if he didn't pass, this wouldn't even been discussion. He probably would have, gotten arrested, maybe minor charges, and life would have moved on. It was the actions that happened that caused it to be a situation. And Charlie Kirk reveled in it, if that's the right word. Continuously joined in on the mocking of him. So I just wanted to preface it with that. I have nothing nice to say. So I was talking to a friend, and he had brought up a point that I didn't. It opened my eyes because I didn't really think of it in this aspect. And we're getting right into it. He had said that Charlie and the crowd experience what kids of school shootings have been experiencing. And when he said that, I was like, "What do you mean?" Because it didn't really connect the dots yet. And he was like, "What I mean is, it was an ambush. They were ambushed. One moment things are fine, and then the next moment, boom." And it hit me, and I was like, "Fuck, you're correct. It was an ambush, and that is exactly how the children have been experiencing it." Now, me personally, I have not experienced a school shooting situation. I have been in a few situations where bullets have gone on, and I was around and near the targets and stuff and whatnot. But when that happens, usually in inner city environments, whatnot, a lot of times you can see it coming. I'm not in the streets or whatnot, so I'm not a victim of a drive-by or things. But even when those things happen, there's usually a sign of something. There's signs. You see these things. There's a buildup, whether it's a gradual buildup or a sharp buildup. It's still a buildup to it. So it's not you're living your everyday life and then things just change and there's gunfire happening. Like what's been happening for the last 3 generations. Let me pause. Sorry for that soundproofing here. I don't have it. But what's been happening for the last 3 generations of young adults to children, millennials, Zoomers, and Gen Alpha. That's what they've been going through. Just having, a normal life, going to school, going to class, talking to their teacher, doing their homework, whatever was happening in that period. It's just a normal everyday life. They probably have the next 5 to 30 minutes, hour, day, week, months, all mapped out. And then just like that, it changed. And they're not in a war zone or anything. And it changed because boom, 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 boom. Shots are going off. And that first second is the freeze, the brain figuring out what's happening. And then the next second, the fight or flight starts kicking in. And, now you don't know what to do. Some kids are screaming, others are, trying to barricade doors, crying, teachers are helping. It's pandemonium, it's chaos. I can't find a video, but there was, one of the school shootings, and there's so many, I don't even know where this one happened. I remember seeing somebody that was in classroom that posted a Snapchat of it, and you just see just how chaotic it is. It is like any shooting situation, but the difference is You don't see it coming. It's just a normal life activity. That right there, that is what the people at Utah, Charlie Kirk, his supporters, and everybody adjacent, that's what they experience. And that is exactly what they have been downplaying this entire time. The only difference is it was only one shot because Charlie was the target. Whereas in the other situations, it continues until the person runs out of ammo or is caught and unalived, or if they put the weapon on themselves. But in the case of Uvalde or the case of Sandy Hook, it was just doom, 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 doom. A minute straight of just gunfire. Children experiencing that. Basically a multiplication of what everybody experienced there, because there was just one bullet for one target. And you know what the crowd did? You know what everybody there did? They didn't go, well, you know that statement that Charlie Kirk made about how, some gun deaths are just unfortunate, but hey, it happens so we could keep our Second Amendment. They didn't say that while he was bleeding out, gushing everywhere. No. They ran. They fled. Because that flight or fight kicked in. And the brain said, self-preservation, run. None of that good guy with a gun bullshit. No, that went out the window. Because getting shot at, or even being in the vicinity of being shot at, having a bullet go by and go, pew, that shit is kind of scary. It's kind of frightening. And your feet going to move before your brain really processes what the hell is going on. And that was always going to happen. This is kind of a side story, but I remember in my university one time, I was in one of my art history classes. One of the kids there, and I could say that because I was probably 25, 26, maybe 27. I don't remember the year this was, but I went to university at 25, so I was already older than most of the kids in my class. This kid, he was like 19, and him and the teacher got into a debate, a healthy debate, because he's a conservative and whatnot, and she was using aspects of art history and was like comparing it to Trump, and she wasn't doing it in an obnoxious way. I actually liked the way she was doing it, because she was using examples of like narcissism with like certain historical figures on how they would do their paintings and whatnot, and was like comparing him to that. And the kid had brought up the good guy with the gun argument, and because somewhere in the debate he had brought that up. And so he proceeds to say something along the lines of, well, what if there was a shooting happening right now and whatnot? When you want, say somebody like me, when you want me to be the good guy with the gun? Mind you, by the way, I've never been in a shootout, but when you want me to have the gun? And when he said that part, I laughed. I laughed so hard. My laugh was disrespectful because I had already experienced a few times what it's like to be kind of in a shootout. And what he thought he would do was not going to be the reality. And so that's why I laughed. And what those people out there who I am sure I could put money on, at least a good percentage of them have used that argument, wasn't what happened. They ran. And I'm saying this as somebody who believes in gun rights. I believe in, hey, we got the Second Amendment, cool, right? I go to the range, I shoot, all that stuff. But I'm not a gun zealot either. We have a massive problem in this country. We're the common denominator when it comes to the problem that's happening worldwide with the massive gun violence. It's not just inner cities. It also happens in the rural America and whatnot too. There's people shooting their spouses, blah, 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 everybody else. And yes, that can happen with a knife. It can happen with acid. But I can tell you what, if somebody was to go with a knife towards me, my 6'3", 270 ass, I can still sprint pretty damn fast. So either I'm going to run or I might try to drop kick you and then run. But I have a chance to get away. Being at the other side of a gun, which I've been at, I went, wow, I might get killed on my mother's birthday, because ironically it was my mom's birthday the same day. And I'm like, I can't lunge at this person because they're in the distance. I can't really run away. They'll shoot me in the back. I'm like, this is how I go out. That was my thought process. Clearly I'm still here. But that's pretty frightening. It's pretty scary. And that's what they experienced. And they weren't even the target. It was just one bullet. And they fled. They ran. As anybody would. because bullets are frightening. And I'm gonna end it on this. This whole discourse is tragically ironic when you really think about it. As Charlie was shot while discussing gun violence. That's like what it was so crazy about this. He was discussing gun violence. He was asked a question on the mass shootings. I don't know which way that direction it was going. I just know he was asked a question on it, and he says, something along the lines of, "With or without counting gang violence," and then is immediately shot in Utah by a shooter who was, so far looking at the pictures, is a white guy, because there was a high percent chance it was going to be. That is a case of tragic irony, especially when you put it along the line of what Charlie Kirk said about the unfortunate gun deaths, because now he unfortunately became one of them. The things that you put out into the world, hate, division, and everything else, for some people, they can get away with it. Henry Kissinger, power, government, whatever, have a long age. Dick Cheney, still alive. Benjamin Netanyahu, the way things are looking, he's probably never going to be arrested. Who knows? Who knows? Things could change. But so far, up until this point, he's lived a pretty okay life being a hateful ass person. Donald Trump won presidency twice, and he's been a scam artist the majority of his life. Like, for most people, it'll be fine. But every once in a while, for some individuals, the monster they create comes back to take them out. And that's what happened to Charlie Kirk. There's a lesson in that. And I'll see you in the next video, and it'll not be this. Deuces.